Hey, hey, everybody. We are back again. Yes. I'm excited for this.
Yay!
It should be a good convo.
It should be.
Um, yeah. All right. Let's jump into it. Hey,
Alrighty.
everyone. Welcome to the recap of the Walking Dead universe. We are here live every week to discuss the latest episodes. You can catch our recaps at any time, available on most major podcast platforms. Get new and past episodes for free in the app of your choice, including YouTube. For those of you joining us live today, thanks for taking time out of your evening to be here. I am your host, Tamara Ford, and I love a good TV show and a good book, of course. So if you'd like to reach out to me, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at the Recap Pods. And if you're into books, you can also find me at Shelf Addiction. Joining me is show co-host Lisa. Welcome, Lisa.
Hey, Tamara. Hey, Karina. My name is Lisa Orban. I am an author. I am also the founder of Indies United Publishing House, and I love all things pop culture. If you would like to find me online, I'm pretty much everywhere at Lisa Orban Author.
All right. So before we get going, we just want to remind you, as always, that we would love your participation in this conversation. So if you are listening live on YouTube or Facebook, hit us up in the comments section. And if you are catching us on a replay, you can still comment on any of the platforms, or you can call us using the voicemail link in the show notes. So we do want to hear from you and possibly include your comments. So if
Mm-hmm.
you are new to the podcast, we are laid back in our review style, right, Lisa?
Absolutely. This is a conversation, not a dissertation.
Yeah, no scene by scene breakdowns here. We jump around a lot. Huge spoiler alert. So if you're cool with that, this is the place for you. So we should jump right in. What do you think?
I think we should.
All right. We are talking about Tales of the Walking Dead episode 2 and high level. Did you like it, Lisa?
Honestly, I did. It was weird, and it was very not, Walking Dead. Well, I guess it is if you think of all the dream sequences and everything else. But for a one-off little thing, I actually thought it was kind of fun. The two main characters were cracking me up.
They were funny. And at first I'm like, well, let me just tell you high level what I thought. So I
Okay.
thought that it was entertaining. I said,
Mm-hmm.
okay, this is different than what we usually see from The Walking
Mm-hmm.
Dead. And I'm not honestly not sure how I feel about it. Like it was a little bit like they were genre mixing a little bit.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, we've never really had that on this show before.
I mean, and I've seen this done in a lot of like either fantasy or sci-fi things where you get stuck in a loop until you can figure out how to break it.
Mhm.
I've read books, that have this theme and everything else. And, so I mean, as soon as they blew up, I'm like, huh, okay. That first time, and as it just kept going, I'm like, this is definitely not Walking Dead. This is not, which is supposed to be grounded in reality.
Right.
Um, which this most definitely was not.
Right.
Um, but I'm gonna say for a one-off, since they're not gonna base anything else on this episode, this is it. This was the whole encapsulation. I just decided to kick back and just enjoy the ride of it. It was amusing to watch these two women, and they hated each other.
Oh my
You know,
god, did they? I could relate to being stuck with a coworker you hate, but I mean that would be torturous just having to do something over and over and over like that.
exactly. And and I kind of
Yeah.
felt bad for like the other employees because they have no idea what's going on. you
Mhm.
know, and no one tells them
Mhm.
anything. I mean, well, there was that one brief moment. She's like, "All right, everyone should leave. You're gonna die." They're going, so on and so forth. But the rest of the people in that office were entirely secondary. They no one really thought to tell them, don't work till 6 or 5 or whatever.
Yeah.
Don't. you need to go home, get to your families. It's death out there. Uh, so I thought that was a little rude of the two of them after like the second or third rotation. Um, they were so self-absorbed in hating each other.
Oh, I know. And I guess almost it was comical to a point, which is another thing they're dabbling in this season.
Hmm.
Like, because even last episode had a little bit of comedy to it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, this is a different thing. I mean, I don't hate it. I definitely do agree with you. It's kind of interesting in a one off manner. But
Hmm.
I'm like, oh, they really are. And I remember them saying like they were going to be like maybe not testing per se, but kind of like trying some things on for size with this, right? Like they were
Right.
experimenting kind of
Hmm.
with this. And I wonder if that's like, if people really like it, maybe they'll make a spin-off, another one or another show in this world that may be more comedic or may have, you
Lighter
know,
moments.
yeah, lighter moments or even a pair, like other like sci-fi-ish aspects, like or
Hmm.
Twilight Zone feeling shows. I don't know. I
Yeah.
feel like if it succeeds the way they hope it will, this could open the door for more variation in the
Yeah.
world.
I really think part of this anthology thing is like you said, it's them trying out different things to see what the audience respond to. Did they like it? Are they saying we'd like to see more? I think what they're looking for is to see if people are saying we need more of this.
Mhm.
So it's
Eh,
it's kind of like throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks.
yeah, yeah. Uh, well, I guess we'll just have to see how this all plays out in the long run. But as far as this episode, it was definitely. I actually watched it twice. Did you watch it twice or just once?
Sweetie, I just got back from vacation. I watched it once. Y'all are lucky I watched it the once. You know. It
Yeah, I
was my
have.
birthday weekend, okay? The fact that I am upright and sober right now, y'all should be happy.
Look, it's okay
Look.
if you did have a hangover for your first day back. That's totally acceptable. But yeah, I don't know. The second time around when I watched it, I kind of found myself getting distracted. So I'm like, this is
Yeah.
clearly a one-time watch situation, at least for
Oh
me
yeah.
anyway. Yeah,
This is one of those episodes. Like I said, I enjoyed it. I
yeah,
did. I thought it was kind of a fun little romp. Definitely way outside of their normal sphere.
right.
Um, but it was, but again, I like sci-fi. I like fantasy. I like, I don't dislike the time looping thing.
Hmm.
Um, you know, while more familiar in other genres for that, it was just kind of this fun little thing of watching the two of them together. But I honestly, I don't think I would have enjoyed it as much a second time around.
Yeah, you wouldn't. Not at all. Because the one woman, I can't even think of her name right now. This woman, Parker Posey, is that her name? Is that her name? I think. I don't
No.
know. I know someone in the comments will tell me, but unfortunately, I can't see the comments right now. This service is acting up. But anyway, whoever this woman is, she acts the same way to me on every show that I've seen her in, like with slight variation. Like she was
Yeah.
last in Lost in Space is the last place I
Mm-hmm.
saw her, and she
Yeah.
kind of acted the same way, like bitchy and self entitled, and all these things. So I'm like, well, she definitely could do the role, but I was like kind of hoping to get something different from her, and they didn't do that, because
I
they changed the show. You know what I mean?
Right. Honestly, as soon as I saw her, I knew. I'm like, oh, I know what kind of character she's playing. I
Right.
mean, and there are some actors in Hollywood that are very pigeonholed.
Yeah.
Nicolas Cage comes to mind. Doesn't matter what movies he's in, it doesn't matter what genre it is, he's always the same character.
Oh, Liam Neeson too. He's the
Yeah.
same, doing the same story on repeat.
Hmm. And if it works for him, go
Yeah.
for it. They found their niche, and they, if as long as people like it and watch it, good for them.
Yeah. And that's what they did with her. So
Hmm.
I think this was a good fit for her, but I was really hoping to see something really different from her, and the opportunity was missed because they did this kind of episode. But
Yeah. I mean, she wasn't completely hateful by the end of it, but then again, kind of like when she was in Lost in Space, she wasn't
right,
completely irredeemable by the end.
right.
I still didn't like her character.
Exactly. That's how she is.
Um,
Like, you still don't want to trust her, you still don't want to like her, but she's not like evil.
right.
She's gray.
Karina says she watched it 3 times. It was funny. And she loves Parker Posey.
Yeah.
So, I like I said, I really did actually enjoy this episode. It was a fun little romp. It was kind of amusing to see the two of them, kind of figuring it out as they went. Oh, I got bit. That's how I died. How was it? It was awful.
Oh.
You know, or they're like,
Yeah.
you bit, I shot you, but then you killed me by biting me. And, just the two, the hatefulness between the two of them was just really, it was fun to watch because it wasn't it wasn't a very physical hate. It was just this, I think we've all had that one coworker or that one boss that we just couldn't stand.
Oh, I know, right?
And so this I think we could relate with both sides of that character, that the characters there. And so I liked it, but again, it's not something I really don't want to see him do more of these like
Yeah.
that.
Right. Because I mean, not to be all like, oh, I'm a purist or anything, but
Right.
that's not what this show was, right?
Right. It's not what this world's about.
Right. So I didn't mind it for fun, but if they were to actually create a series like around these two,
Uh-huh.
I don't think I'd watch it. I'm not gonna
Nah.
lie.
I don't think I would either. Although their hair at the very end, oh my
Oh, it was
God.
singed. It was singed
It's
on
all
one side.
shins off and curly, all curled up there towards her head and on the one side and everything else. And all I could think of, because when they're like, okay, light it, I'm thinking, someone really needs to turn off the gasoline. You really do, because the
Yeah,
fire
she
will travel back up the gasoline stream, and you're next to a fireball.
I know, like, for the crack, I tell you these two, like, you just left the gas on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, why would you? Because they could have turned the gas off, pulled the hose back up, dropped the thing, and they could have had like most of a tanker.
Right, absolutely. And her idea of her reasoning for having, the gas truck was valid, right? No
Right.
one's gonna try to take us out. It's a walking bomb, a driving bomb. That makes sense.
Exactly. And
But then,
gasoline will be more precious than money,
yeah.
Which were good points. But again, going back to, every time they kept showing back up in the office, all I could think of is, all right, after a couple of these iterations, they know where the safe ways to get out of the city are.
Mm-hmm.
Did you notice they didn't share?
Yeah, they didn't.
The boss lady kept, and neither one of them ever thought to tell everyone in the office, leave now.
Yeah, not to the very end. The lady was like, just get out of here, go home. But she still could have told them, here's how to get out of the city, go.
Right. They're blocking off all the entrances and all the exits, and this is the only, these are the only routes out of the city.
Well, you know how that goes. You tell one person, they tell two people, that tell another 4 people, and then before you know it, those secret outs are full. So
yeah, but then again, we're also talking about, it's the apocalypse at this point. Not actually.
They don't know that yet. They don't really. They don't
I think
really know
they
what's
have a
happening.
better idea though than the people in the office.
Oh yeah, after 2 or 3 times of being bitten and watching people bite other people, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
It really wasn't. As a boss, if I had employees in my office, I don't right now. We all work remote, but as a boss, I would tell all my employees, if this was knowledge I had, okay, guys, go now, get your families, and this is how you need to leave, or call your families and tell them to meet you here, or whatever. Um, and
Even
I'm
though
kind
all of them would keep showing back up again and again and
Mhm.
again.
I'd still do it
Yeah.
because obviously they got better at it each time. Um, and honestly, I don't know why, if she's going for her nieces and or her nieces and brother, why she didn't tell them just to meet them there.
Right.
And
I don't know. That seems stupid to go into the city for them, but I'm like, well, they may not live long.
yeah, either way, obviously it took him like 20 tries to get that far.
Right.
So you know, these two were really, they're not survivalists.
No. And I'm like looking at Parker Posey's her shoes. I'm like her little boots. I'm like, oh, her feet
Uh-huh.
are gonna be killing her.
Oh God. There's no way.
I know.
And like I said, I mean, and the whole it was, you know, you can have faith in us. We're the insurance company. And in
Oh
that
my
first
gosh.
iteration, work on that fear, sell the fear. Jesus. And I know that's, I understand. You got to make your money some way. But, at this point, they don't realize how trivial everything they're doing is.
Yeah. It
You
takes them
know,
a while to get there, but they get there.
yeah. So,
Mm.
and at least on the last one, they did tell the people to go,
Mm-hmm.
which is good. And obviously, she knew something was up because you saw that car. How it
Oh
was, I mean,
yeah.
it was packed. This was not a weekend. I mean, they were leaving.
Oh
And,
yeah. So
and
she lied
knowing
to
that,
them. So she was leaving, but she's
yeah,
like to them, "Oh, just long weekend with the boyfriend.
exactly. And, telling the receptionist, stay here till 6.
Make
And
sure that door is shut."
make
Oh,
sure that
she
door is
rude.
shut.
She's so
And they've
mean.
got everything but the kitchen sink. I mean, their trunk is actually open, and it's tied down. So, and I guess they had enough money. It looks like it was probably a private plane that they were going to get on. There's no way
Probably.
they were getting on a plane with all that crap.
I'm sure he didn't even make it to whatever island they thought they were going to
No,
be honest.
no. Although
So,
honestly, you know, again, me being the practical person, I would have been, here's what we do. Okay, I'll have my brother and my nieces meet us here. We all leave together and we go to the airport. you know, get on that freaking plane.
I know.
Um,
And honestly, I kept thinking, I'm like, how do you even know they're still there?
yeah,
Like you didn't even call them or anything.
I
And
know.
so that's a huge assumption like they're going to stay in their house.
And the thing, and we know that the phones were working at this point.
Right.
And Canon too is that the phones worked for what 2 or 3 days.
Mhm.
I mean, it wasn't long after the collapse, but they did carry on for a little bit. Basically until power grid started shutting down.
Yeah.
So I mean, like I said, they're obviously on the outer skirts of town, and I would have had them come to me.
Definitely. They're definitely outside the perimeter where all the people are in
Mm-hmm.
Atlanta. Like they were out there. They might have had a head start, and then that's why it looked so empty was they were going back into the
Mm-hmm.
into the city. But
Yeah.
uh, I don't know. Oh my gosh, the walkers! We got a good look of the fresh walkers now.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't seen those in a while.
Oh, we do on occasion when someone is freshly turned, but we don't
Yeah,
get them very often anymore.
and not like in clumps like this for sure.
Right. Not in clumps.
Like their clothes are still together.
Yeah. Well, they've only been dead for what, maybe a couple hours at this point.
Yeah, it's like
So,
oh
although apparently it did not take long for Atlanta to fall.
no, it didn't. I mean, if I don't know, I wish we could have. Maybe they did have this, and I just don't remember. Like how many people turned? Like what? One out, 2 out of 5.
They've never, okay, again, we've never had a
Yeah,
good number of how many people turned, how many people, we don't even know how many people are in any particular group at this point.
right.
Okay, not across any of the shows do we have any idea what their actual numbers are. I think the closest we've ever gotten is when they were talking about the Commonwealth, and they were saying something about the number of people there, and then when we were on a world where they were when they took out that one city, how many people lived in it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. Those are really the only times we have no idea how many people are in any particular group.
Right. And honestly, that would have given us a better idea of how quickly a city like Atlanta could fall, right? Like
Hmm.
half the people, that just seems like a huge amount of people to get infected and turn very quickly.
I mean, I could see at the initial beginning, because in a situation like this, there is that initial time of disbelief.
Right.
All right. So obviously, the National Emergency Service didn't come on the air and say, "Hey, we have zombies. Y'all might want to start shooting people in the head." And honestly, it took them a while, even in that first season, to figure out they had to shoot them in the head.
Yeah, definitely. But they
You know,
definitely could have said, "Hey, the CDC is saying if you see someone stumbling around, don't let them bite you.
yeah, yeah. Don't help them.
Run away. They
But I
can't.
mean,
This is not the flu. They will not get better." Run.
right. But again, I mean, so we've got a couple of different things going on at the beginning of something like this. One, it's the disbelief of what is going on. And two, when you see someone stumble or fall or look like they're sick, a human reaction in a lot of cases, especially if you're close, if you're physically near someone, if they, is to come over and say, "Are you okay?" You know,
Yeah.
so, the initial infections were probably very close and clustered, because it's an exponential effect.
Yeah, I think we saw that like at the beginning of Fear kind of a little
Hmm.
bit where, someone had their wife or husband or something and they were sick, right? So you're trying to
Right.
take care of them and they bite you. So
Right.
now you're messed up. And that probably
Hmm.
happened a lot of times over with families. A
Hmm.
whole family probably goes down because one person in
Right.
there was infected. So yeah, I could see how it would spread very, very quickly with no information out there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because we can look at it now with, forever seasons in,
Mm-hmm.
and, and go, okay, we know, but, we have to, thinking back to the very beginning, um, there was, by the time Rick woke up, they kind of had a handle on things. But look at Rick stumbling around without a single clue of what was going on.
I know. He used
You know,
logic, like, "Don't let someone try to bite me." I don't
you know,
know. I'd like to think, like, let's say it's a brand new world, I'm in that world. I'd like to think that if someone I knew actually attempted to bite me, I would run away. I would run away at that point. Like, you know what I mean? At first, you might
yeah,
wanna step to help them, but when they're not talking and they're growling and snapping at you, you would then run and don't let them bite you.
right.
They're not
Yeah,
moving fast as we've seen in this episode.
hmm
They're not running.
yeah, they're not. I mean, and all those people running from their cars, honestly, a brisk pace they could have outdistanced them without wearing themselves out.
Mhm.
You know, but again, people panic, and and panic breeds fear and hasty actions.
Absolutely.
And so yeah, I mean, going back to that very beginning again, the cop shot the zombie there, that was
Mhm.
in the car, but obviously it got him, and or at least the daughter, and because he didn't know to shoot him in the head.
Right. And even
And
the son, that guy, the little kid, in that
mhm,
final time, they were like, "Well, if we get him to shoot the zombie, the kid should be safe." But he,
right,
like, walks closer.
right, which was just, that kid was a lot of trouble. I'm not gonna
Y
lie. Didn't
yeah.
listen, was in the truck, got in the truck the one time when it wasn't told to, and got real close to the zombie, and um, but I mean, let's face it, we're really not, the survivors for the most part that we've all seen were survivors because they were lucky, you know,
Or had
Um,
solid instincts. I don't know.
yes,
Maybe
had
that.
solid instincts, or they were loners,
Right?
or they were in sparsely populated areas to start with,
Mm-hmm.
but when it comes to big cities, I mean, God, that would just, because I know you've been to Atlanta. I hate Atlanta. Um, but this is not a city that you can easily get in or out of.
No, if you could be stuck on the freeway, that is a real thing.
It is,
Like,
yeah, um,
yeah,
because there's only two interstates, and the whole city is like surrounded by it, and there really aren't back roads out of the city.
yeah,
You can't take a side road to get in and out of Atlanta. You have to at some point get on the or off, get on the interstate to get out.
right. Mm-hmm.
Um, it's not a good design.
No, but once you're out the city, once you're out of, like, I keep saying the perimeter, that's that freeway that goes like in a loop around.
Right. That's what
Once
and
you
that's what I'm thinking of too.
Yeah. Once you're past that, I mean, it still can be bad on certain freeways going north, but you can escape after you're outside of there.
Right. But
Yeah.
inside that loop,
Yeah.
there's
Bad.
no you can't just cross the interstate without getting on it.
Mhm.
There's no ducking around it.
Mm-mm.
And it's a and yeah, it's not a good design.
No. Um, so what was this, 2010? Was that the year they were in, 2010?
Yes.
Yeah. Can I just say that Blair, the character Blair, her clothes, I'm like, dude, who's dressing like this in 2010? Who?
I don't know, but I gotta tell you, the green thing that she was wearing, I was like, why is she wearing AstroTurf?
And those earrings, dude. I'm like, this feels like it's the 80s, not 2010. What is happening?
She was, I don't know, went to a Paris fashion show and got something stupid.
I mean, even Gina's outfit, it really like screamed 80s, didn't it?
Uh, a little bit, but I
Or
mean,
90s, mid 90s grunge
more
kind of.
90s, I would say, but
Yeah.
still, I mean, you know, the the layered look was in around that time, if I remember correctly.
Oh no, I gotta look back at pictures. I'm like, what did I wear in 2010?
Yeah, what was well,
Like,
I'm
not
not looking
that.
back at my pictures. I wear whatever I want. I haven't followed fashion for a very long time because
Oh,
I want comfort more than I
mm-hmm.
want anything. I actually want to start turning blankets into clothes because I really want that kind of fuzziness in winter.
Oh, that's fun. They
Just,
have that. It's called, wait, they make those. What is it called? The ones they sell? It's kinda like a blanket with, pocket holes for your arms.
yeah, no, no, no. I'm talking I want to make an outfit out of these soft fuzzy blankets, the whole thing. Okay? Um, because I wake up, especially when it's cold, I'm like, man, I just want to wear something soft and fuzzy.
Mm,
Something that
mhm.
it wraps you up like a blanket and makes you not hate the winter quite so much.
Oh,
Um, and I mean, it was, I don't remember what time of year. I guess it was supposed to be fall. They're dressed for fall, obviously, or at least
yeah.
early spring. I don't remember when it was actually supposed to take place before. Maybe fall. I
They
don't
definitely
remember.
are dressed for, I mean, so okay, so if they're in Atlanta and they're dressed like this, it's gotta be like November, December. I mean, it's
Hmm.
gotta be much later in the year. January, maybe, February,
Maybe.
maybe.
I mean, because the other show. I mean, so the other show took place in California.
Yeah.
So again, winter is okay, unless you're up in the mountains or whatever. And the rest of it's pretty much been in like Texas, Florida, so the southern states.
Mhm.
So winter, they've never really had to deal. They've only had one season where they've really had to deal with winter,
Mhm.
and that was with when the deal with Alpha, and they're like, she said not to cross this line, you
Yeah.
know, and that was really about the only time we've ever really ever recall it really snowing on the show. Do you remember any other snows?
I don't. And that wasn't even a long part. It was like what, one episode, 1.5 episodes or something
It was
where
like
they,
one episode
yeah,
where,
they went through it real fast.
mm-hmm.
I guess it was expensive to make snow or be in snow. I don't know.
Well, I mean, you would think.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know. Like I said, they've never really dealt with snow in this show except for
Yeah.
that one episode. And so as far as when it initially took place, we don't. I know it wasn't. I know Rick was not wearing warm clothes when he went into the coma. He had
No.
short sleeves on.
Yeah, he had his
You know,
little uniform and that's it.
yeah, his uniform, but he had the jacket, but he also was wearing short sleeves underneath it. So
Yeah.
you know, Karina says, but why was she layered up in August? I don't know, babe. That's a good
I
question.
mean,
We're trying to
there's
figure it
no
out.
way you could be layered up. I mean, you can, but that's insane to be layered up like that in Atlanta in
In
August. You
Atlanta.
would die.
Oh God, you
You would
think?
die from heat stroke. What are you doing? Yeah, you can't. I mean, you could be crazy dressed like that in August.
Oh yeah. Okay, because I just got back from New Orleans. All right, and it was like on the last day I was there. It got really hot. Well, humid, I should say, because it was like it's 80 degrees, but with the heat index, and stuff, it feels like 96. Oh, Jesus, So yeah, wearing that many layers, it couldn't have been August. So
No,
I don't know if they just, again, since these are one offs, they're not really so much worried about canon.
it's just whatever.
Yeah, because I with Karina, I was really thinking that it was summer-ish, and she says August, and I'm here to tell you there is no way that you're wearing, because she had a blouse and the green thing and the
A
jacket
jacket and that
and
other
the
shawl thing around
stole.
her, right? And the other lady had on a turtleneck and a flannel and a t-shirt.
Yeah,
There
so
is
I mean
no
this,
way.
there's
And look
no
at
way
the
that it was
trees, though. The trees aren't lush and green.
right.
They look like wintertime trees.
Exactly. So I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
Apparently they just went, eh.
Who cares? We're just going
Who
to do
cares?
whatever. It's fine. Little do they know people who pay attention to detail are going to watch the show and question things, but whatever.
Karina says the Talking Dead said August, shrudge, and then she said shrudge.
Uh,
So, yeah, I don't know if they've ever. Obviously, they had to. They've been in Atlanta in August, and they know there's no way anyone is outside wearing that many layers of clothes. Not in August. Oh my
no,
God.
no. So
There's
they
a lot of.
messed up. They might have the intention might have been for it to be August so that it
Mhm.
stays in line with everything. But
They were not
that's
dressed for August.
right. They felt
August
they
would have
messed up.
been should have been sundresses or like
They filmed it the wrong time of year. Or
hmm
they didn't even do any like corrections to like make it look like summer. So
right. So we're just gonna go. It's a one-off. Who cares?
yeah, we're gonna let it go. We're gonna let it go
We're
because y'all
definitely
know
gonna let it go.
we don't let a lot go, but we'll let this one go.
Yeah, because again, I mean, it's a one-off. It doesn't. I mean, in
Yeah,
the larger scheme of things, it doesn't matter.
right.
And they were in a time loop, so come on.
Exactly.
um,
But I don't know what else about this episode do you think we should cover? It's
well,
pretty.
I mean, it was basically the same thing over and over again. So I think we've kind of covered.
Yeah.
They're mean to each other. They go to the convenience store, and then they generally don't get out of there.
No, and they have a truce at the end. They kind of figure it
Mm-hmm.
out and have a friendly truce, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
A delicate truce because they still
I
hate each other. So
Yeah, I gotta tell you though, as the boss lady, after she had been out and seen how bad it is, and I know she's like, you watched me die dozens of times, and you never took more than 2 steps away from the car. Still, I would
Yeah.
still be going with him to a private island where no one else is.
I'll break up with him once we get there.
Yeah. I mean,
Mhm.
seriously, this is a situation where, I mean, she's already seen how bad it can be,
Right.
so
And I mean, she already knows he's not really gonna help her, but that's not what she needs him for.
right.
She
She
doesn't
needs a
need him for
ride.
right, she needs a ride. She needs to go to the safe place. That's what she needs.
Mhm.
She could take care of herself.
And again, obviously, they knew something was up because they were not packed for a long weekend.
Mhm.
I mean, they had packed that car.
They couldn't even
And
close it. They couldn't even close the trunk all the way.
exactly. I mean, you couldn't see out the back, through the back window because
Right.
the trunk's up and there's so much stuff in the back seat. And like I said, which obviously tells me that they're not flying commercial. This
Like,
is
how
a
do you even pack all that stuff? Like, I feel like I mean, and okay, so let's just imagine this was like real fast. This is one day. Hell's
Mhm.
breaking loose. We've got to go. I can't imagine packing my car to the gills. I mean, I'd pack a suitcase worth of stuff and throw it in the car and leave. Maybe some water and food, you know what I mean? And
The
another
only
luggage
thing,
and leave.
and here's the thing. So they're packed to leave.
Yeah.
All right. While she's leaving her employees, completely in the dark. Dick move.
Yes.
And, so obviously they knew something was wrong, more wrong than the average person did.
Maybe he has some insider knowledge or something.
Yeah. Because otherwise, I mean, this is, oh, it's just, it's a long weekend, spur of the moment thing. So yeah. But again, I don't understand. I mean, if they knew that they were leaving, why didn't they just close the shop down? If she knew something was this wrong, that they wanted to leave the country and go hide out on a private island, she knew it was bad
Because she's mean and rude
and
and
selfish.
selfish
Yeah.
and all the things that Gina called her.
Yeah. And she's a horrible
Yeah.
person. Um, but again, I still would have taken old boy for said, yeah, I need a ride. Of course, then again, depending on what kind of private island it is, they may not have been able to survive there long either.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I still doubt he even made it, to be quite frank.
Mm-hmm.
They couldn't even get gas. Like, okay, so you took all this time packing up all this stuff, but you didn't get gas?
I know.
Ugh.
Well,
Ooh.
and they couldn't have been. I mean, and how much gas do you really need to get to go to a freaking airport?
I don't know.
I mean, they had
Well,
to
if
have
they
been
were
on.
going to they must have been going to like a private airport
Airfield.
somewhere. Yeah,
Well, but then
because
again,
they're
I mean,
going the wrong way to get to the Atlanta airport, that's for sure.
yeah. But I was gonna say
Um,
because I do know the Atlanta airport. I mean, it does have spaces for private planes.
yeah,
But I mean, I guess they could have been leaving from one of the smaller airfields, but still, I don't know. I
but
mean, it
they'd
seemed
have to
kind of,
go into the city, not out the city.
yeah. So it seems kind of stupid to me that knowing that they're getting on a plane while they're waiting for gas.
Yeah.
Honestly, after the first iteration, if I was back in the car with him, I would have been like, no, let's just go to the airport.
Yeah, let's just forget the gas. I mean, but how are they gonna go to the airport with all that junk in their car? Like, so I don't know. It doesn't make sense.
Like I said, if it's a private airplane, they can bring whatever they want on it.
Uh, yeah, weight limits.
I know there's weight limits, but I mean, honestly, the stuff's about the equivalent of like 4 people.
Maybe. Weird. I don't know. So many, when you start scrutinizing things, so many plot holes, so many
I know.
holes. But,
Did
you know,
Did you watch the teaser for next week?
I did. I was going to mention that. I am excited to see the origin story of Alpha and
Yeah,
Lydia.
I mean we've already seen. I mean we saw them at the, I guess the middle beginning of the
Right.
pandemic,
Mhm.
with the dad. But so I'm not real sure about this because it seems like this is taking place prior to,
Yeah.
and he's not there.
I wonder how they're gonna explain that because it seems like way before that, way
Yeah.
before what we've already seen.
Yeah,
So,
it looked like they were that Lydia was at a camp or something,
mhm.
and so and there's no husband, so I don't know. I don't know if they're going to be able to whatever they do. I hope it more or less squares up with what we've already heard or we have seen about the two of them. Um,
Now I am curious, do you think that seeing a different point of view of this will make you feel like Alpha isn't as bad as she was in this show?
no,
Like, maybe because how everybody likes to give Negan a pass. Well, not everybody, we don't, but the
yeah,
people at large, right?
I know. No, I mean because here's the thing. Even in the last flashback, when they established, when they were going and you know back to where they were hiding out and during the the fall of everything.
Mhm.
And that was at the very pretty close to the beginning of the the apocalypse. When they showed them,
Mhm.
and then up to after the safe house they were in fell, and then husband dies and yada yada.
Right.
Um, but the fact is even then Alpha was not a nice person.
Mhm.
She was cold, and she was not she was not a caregiver.
Mhm.
Lydia was very much attached to her dad, but she was pretty indifferent to her mom up until her dad died.
Right.
So I really Lydia, or not Lydia, but Alpha was really one of those people that was the pandemic didn't, or the apocalypse didn't change her. It just allowed her to be more fully herself.
Mhm. I believe that.
You know,
Mhm.
and I think that's about the biggest difference between her and Negan. Negan wasn't a terrible person.
He kind of was. I mean, okay, I guess he was shades of terrible, right?
Yeah.
He was
Um.
never a good, what I would consider a good man, a good guy. He was
Right.
cheating and shit. Like he wasn't that.
Yeah. I mean, but I mean, he really he did everything he could to keep his wife alive, and when he went out looking for meds, he wasn't a complete ass. He even helped a couple of people along the way.
Yeah.
Um, it really wasn't.
He's shades of, that's why I say he's
Right.
shades of terrible. Like depending
Right.
on the situation, he could be not so bad and then he could
Right.
be really bad.
Right. I mean, the thing of it is if his wife had lived, Negan probably would have been a completely different person.
Mhm.
Um, but Alpha, on the other hand, Alpha really wasn't any different at the end of her story arc than she was when they showed us her beginning. You know, um, she wasn't a good person to be around. You
Mhm.
could even see her husband didn't like her. He just was kind of afraid of her. You know,
Right.
so I really don't think that this is going to be a redemption, story for her at all. And
Mhm.
if it is, I'm going to be very disappointed in them.
Yeah.
I really will, because up until there's been nothing about her that has shown that she was a warm, caring, or good person. Alpha's always been a bitch.
Well, we're gonna see. We're gonna see because if they surprise us with something unexpected, you won't like it.
Yeah. Karina says episode 3 was so good.
Okay.
So,
Mm,
we'll see. I mean,
right.
I'm looking forward to it. I really am. I do want to. I want to see this taken. In a way, I'm kind of hoping it's a little more centered on Lydia
Mhm.
than it is on Alpha.
Mhm.
I wouldn't mind seeing that at all, because while we did see Lydia as a child, it wasn't, that flashback wasn't about her,
Right.
and I'm
Right.
sure it's going to be centered on Alpha. I know it's going to be, but I would like to see a little bit more of young Lydia.
I would too, but I think she might be really, really young, where it won't even, not that it won't matter, but maybe she'll be so young that
Well, no, because
you know what
Lydia
I
would have
mean?
been. She was about what, 5? I think that's what we established. It was about 5 or 6.
Okay.
When
Mm.
it first happened,
Mhm.
and this is right at the very. It appears to be taking place at the very beginning. Don't tell us, Karina. We'll
Yeah.
watch. We'll watch it.
Right.
and, I'll let you know if I agree with you. And it was so good. Um, but yeah, I am looking forward to the episode. I'm curious to see what they do.
Same. It does look good. It looks good for, interesting. Where they're characters that we've become familiar with, so this
Uh-huh.
makes it even more, appealing.
Hmm.
We have something familiar in this episode, a plethora of I don't know what.
Yeah, I mean, I am
So,
gonna say I was a little when they announced that there was going to be an episode with her. I was surprised, um,
mm,
mostly because we did have the flashback episodes. Where they
yeah, kind of showed us a little bit.
mhm.
Yeah.
um and Karina says, she goes, LOL, I'm not going to say anything. I want to see more of her story after this.
Hmm.
Really? Okay. Well, that's
More of whose
interesting.
story? More of Lydia's story?
I'm going to assume, are you saying more of Lydia's story or more of Alpha's story? I'm going to assume Alpha, but
Hmm.
based on her comments.
I wish I could see them. This thing is still acting up. I can't see them.
I'm sorry, dear.
It's okay. You're doing a good job, Lisa.
Alpha. Yep. I was right.
Okay.
I picked correctly. Look at me
Okay.
go. But yeah, so I mean, I was curious about it, but I was surprised just because they did do that. They had her flashback span over what, 3 or 4 episodes, I think.
Mm-hmm.
You know, um,
Yeah.
so we got a better taste for her past than we have for a lot of the other characters, even.
Right.
Um, but apparently it's very good, and I was curious. I'm like, "Oh, I wonder what they're going to do with this." So
Yeah. I actually might watch it tonight. I'm not sure. I might watch it tonight. We'll
because
see.
because even like if they were going to do a flashback, I wouldn't have minded seeing like Carol at the very beginning
Oh,
of the
I
pandemic.
know. I would have loved that.
Because we know Carol's full story.
Right.
Um,
And Carol would have been a completely different character to watch in a
yeah,
flashback situation.
exactly. Back then she was timid.
Right.
She had her daughter and the overbearing, abusive husband, and it would have been interesting to see how they even made it as far as they did. Honestly,
Mm-hmm.
um, because I don't, she wasn't a survivor at that point. Um,
Right.
and so it would have been, it would have been interesting for them to go back to the very beginning with her and show more of Carol's beginning. I would have loved that if they were going to go on a character that we were already familiar with. And again, I'm not saying I'm unhappy with the Alpha decision.
Right.
Um, but that really would have been kind of fun to watch, because we all know how Carol is now, and I think a lot of people kind of forget how
How she was at the
quiet
beginning. Yeah.
she was. So quiet
Yeah.
and unassuming, and try to kind of make herself invisible, and you know yeah.
Well, never say never, because they could do another season of this
Right,
with
they
more
could.
stories, and they could include hers. I mean,
Right.
she's still tied to AMC in The
Oh yeah.
Walking Dead, so they could be like, "Hey, let's do this then."
Hmm. I'm just,
Yeah.
so like I said, I mean, if they ever do something like this, if they have a little whatever, I'd love for them to just go back and just do a little, because we didn't get a lot of time with Carol in like the first season. And it really wasn't until um the daughter
After
came up
her
missing.
husband was gone and
After
after
her
her
husband was
daughter.
gone and
Yeah.
and her daughter was missing, that's when
Yeah.
we really started to get a fuller picture of Carol.
Mhm.
So and she's an interesting character, and probably one of the most changed characters on the entire show.
Oh yeah, she's totally morphed into something. I mean, I feel like it had to have always been in there. It just
Hmm.
wasn't accessible because of her
Well,
circumstances. It had to been.
and I think I misspoke when I said Carol wasn't really a survivor. She was. She was surviving in a very brutal situation with her abusive husband. She was a survivor, just not
She just wasn't eat these cookies
right.
and look at the flowers type
You
of
know,
person.
so
So
she had skills to keep herself alive, um, but different than most people would expect for something like this. But
yeah.
I think in a way they have grounded her in a way that maybe a lot of other people wouldn't be. Because she spent many years in this abusive relationship where she stayed in survivor mode, to stay alive from this man. So I guess in some ways it wasn't a huge step out for her to survive when everyone's kind of like on the outside what he was on the inside anyway.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, she's like I said, of all the character. I mean, Daryl's changed, but core Daryl has pretty much stayed the same, and Rick kind of stayed the same. Most of the characters are more or less at their core the same person they were.
Yeah, they've had
Um,
their ups and downs and crazy moments, but you're
right,
right. Their baseline is basically the same.
right. You
Yeah.
know, um, the priest, the Father
Oh yeah,
Gabriel,
he's changed a little bit though.
he's changed.
Yeah.
But I think for him, I think it's also different though because he's now he is he has now become the man he always thought of himself being prior to the downfall. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
he's
don't think
probably who he wanted to be when he
exactly.
wasn't so cowardly,
Hmm.
you
I think
know?
he always kind of envisioned himself in this way, but
Mhm.
it had never been challenged because of how the world was, and then he failed the test, and now he's trying to become that man. I think that he always assumed he was until he realized he absolutely wasn't.
Right.
You
I
know.
mean, you do something like lock all your people out the church, and
Hmm.
that's a different kind of personality right there.
Exactly. And
Like,
it's
what?
I think one of the reasons why I always kind of found Father Gabriel's character interesting is because to me he's always kind of well portrayed the people that think, oh no, I'll be fine, I'll be, I got this, and then they don't got this. They end
Right.
up, in these kind of situations, they end up like, peeing their pants and panicking,
Right.
um, after spending years in an armchair, talking a big game,
Right.
and so I think Father Gabriel kind of encapsulates a lot of those people that really think they would do well when in reality probably not so much.
If we saw an origin story for him, he would probably come off so cocky and arrogant.
Hmm. So self-assured, that
Mhm.
he was, and it's interesting because as he has grown stronger in himself, his faith in God has gone down.
Mhm.
So there's been this switch in, you know at the very beginning when we first meet him, God, and now it's more like, I don't know about him, quite so much. I'm a
Like,
little unsure.
maybe.
Maybe,
Right.
not
Right.
not really feeling it, but so I mean there's but yeah, like I said, Carol though, I would love to see if they would ever do a little one-off like this with Carol. I would love it.
Yeah, I agree. I second that. Maybe they should do it. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the next episode and what's next. Like I have not looked ahead at any of these episode titles or descriptions.
I
I've
haven't either.
like yeah, so I'm curious to see what else is down the line. I think
Mhm.
it's only a total of like 6
6.
episodes.
Mhm.
Yeah. So it'll be over before you know it.
I
So
know. But then, I
yeah.
mean, but The Walking Dead is coming back and it's going to be on here, so there'll be a short break in between, but it's not going to be very long.
No, I think it's only a couple weeks, if
Right.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I'm excited. I'm just really waiting for uh 11C. I'm just really, really excited to see how this ends.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to stay in the moment with Tales, but I'm thinking about The Walking Dead the whole time. Like,
And I
what's next?
and like, I mean, and I'm really trying not to. I've watched a couple of the trailers that they've posted for the upcoming season for The Walking Dead. But I'm not trying to go out of my way to,
See
you know,
spoilers.
for
Mhm.
spoilers, because um, I really just kind of want to take in this last season and as it comes, you
Yeah,
know.
same. I do think though, like honestly, most of the stuff that AMC posts is kind of generic, right? Like we
Hmm.
see some things, but unless some people like pause the screen and try to break down every little thing
Hmm.
and the I don't do that. I'm not trying to look at that cuz it might tell something really important or not, cuz a lot of people are just really theorizing because um well, both of us are kind of out of the realm of spoilers, right? We're not in the
Yeah.
spoilers realm. But like I haven't seen anything in my feed that I'd have to quickly scroll past because it could look like it would reveal
Right.
something. So I
I
feel
mean,
like they've had it on lockdown pretty good.
I do know a lot of people are talking about Rick's gun,
Uh,
you know, but then again, they were also talking about Rick's gun last season,
they were.
So I mean, maybe it has some significance, maybe it doesn't. Who knows?
It's
Um,
theories. People don't these they don't know. I mean, every once in a while someone knows something, but it's hard to sort out who actually knows something and
mhm,
what's theory, you know?
exactly. And so I don't want to go in with a lot of BS in my head from other people who are just speculating.
Mhm.
And because I think that because one of the things I do enjoy is because you and I, we don't talk about what we think of these shows before we get on the air.
No, we don't.
We
We
don't
save
discuss
it.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't, we don't even say text each other and go, "Did you like it?" So I like the whole, just kind of letting this last season just really kind of wash over us. This
Yeah.
is kind of the accumulation of, you and I have been doing this for almost, we've been
Oh my
doing this,
gosh, years, like 5, 6 years?
I think it was second season
Yeah.
that you and I started doing this, because I remember us discussing um, well,
Maybe 3rd? I don't know, cuz I know I binged quite a bit before I caught up with the real time. So,
mhm,
I feel like I wanna say 5 or 6 years we've been doing this.
it's been
6
a
years
long
maybe.
time,
Yeah.
a long time.
It has been a long time. So, I don't want to like all of like I've said, like even last episode, I said I want to feel satisfied at the end of this.
Mhm.
Like I want to feel like, wow, these 11 seasons has been worth it.
Yeah,
The ups and the downs. And I don't really want to taint that with anything. I kind of want to just take it as it comes, like you said.
exactly.
Yeah,
So I'm excited to see next week's little pocket universe, and we'll see what happens.
I know. All right, I think we're done. What do you think, Lisa?
I think we are done.
All right, guys. So it's been a fun time today. Thanks for listening to the entire episode. If you are still here, please subscribe on whatever app you're listening to us. And also, don't forget to hit the like button before you leave. We will see you guys next week. And until then, take care of yourselves. Bye, guys.